Welcome to the 5th episode of the Omnus Chronicles podcast. Today we promise to bring you a very special episode that is a Klingon feast. I am the commanding officer of the Omnus along with my XO Captain Ross Burnett. I am joined by my recurring crew members Lieutenant Junior Grade David, Hugh and Kieran, and we have special guests as we are joined by the enigmatic commanding officer of the SKG, which is the Scottish Klingon Garrison, and the commanding officer of the I.S.S. Praxis. Today we will be discussing the seismic shift caused by Paramount's new regulations for Starfleet International, otherwise known as SFI, and also we are doing a deep dive into the fascinating history and culture of the Scottish Klingon Garrison, how the IKX Praxis was formed, and we will explore the ever-evolving role of Klingons in the Star Trek universe. So get ready for a thrilling discussion filled with Klingon lore, strategic insights, and a touch of interstellar intrigue. This episode is not to be missed. Fasten your seatbelts and prepare to be transported to an interesting frontier.
Yes, thank you for the invite. Good evening. I am Robert, and I'm the commanding officer, I suppose, of the Scottish Klingon Garrison, which was set up 3 years ago in summer of 2021, and hopefully I'll get a chance to talk a bit more about that later on.
I'm James. I'm a member of the Chronicle fleet, but I'm also the commanding officer of the IKS Praxis, which is based down here in jolly old Northamptonshire in England. Been started up a group about a year ago now, and slowly been building up ever since. Do a Facebook group and a TikTok channel as well about budget cosplay and prop building. Thank you.
All right. So what we were going to talk about and what we were planning on talking about is Paramount and how they can be, so that they can be rather self-sabotaging.
Firstly, before we do, I'm sure it's affecting you guys as well. I'm sure you know what we're talking about with the rebrand of Paramount and SFI. That's essentially what my crew want to have a few words about. Because I'm sure it affects you guys quite harshly as well.
Have you guys gotten anything along those lines regarding the issue with the Paramount forcing changes on everyone who does SFI?
No, not so much. I mean, we don't really deal with Paramount, and I know that SFI get access to some extent in America.
Some extent. They seem to be revoking that. I may be wrong, but they seem to be like it seems to be me like they might be revoking some of that. Yeah. So essentially, a lot of the ships are having to change the designs on their logos, and thankfully our logo is so awesome that it doesn't need to be changed, because we are the Omnus. We're the best ship in all of Starfleet International, so we get special ship recognition. I'm kidding. I am very, very kidding. Essentially, what the issue is that a lot of the ships are using like silhouettes of sovereign class ships and what's that one from Deep Space Nine called again?
Fine.
Whatever that ship's called, yeah, that one. Even our ship is actually being targeted, so we're not allowed to use silhouettes. We're not allowed to use if it, as it was said, if it vaguely smells like Star Trek, we have to change it. So quite a lot of the crew got PO'd about that, for good reason, because it's like, what does Paramount not want free advertising? Is that it? Are they looking to sabotage themselves that much? For those of you who know me, you know how much I hate the new Star Trek shows. Um,
This has
so
just added fuel to the fire.
this has just added fuel to my anger towards Paramount and they're wanting to sabotage themselves. Basically, the more they do this, and the more they alienate the fan base, the more there's not going to be a fan base to actually support Star Trek, and that's what pisses me off the most. Is that we all love Star Trek. Whether it's new Star Trek, old Star Trek, in between Star Trek, crappy Star Trek, good Star Trek. Doesn't matter. If we like it, we're gonna watch it. We enjoy watching that kind of stuff, and we are basically promoting every single time we do something, like we go on Facebook with our ship, our logos for our ships and stuff like that. It's advertising for them, and it's free, but they apparently don't want that, which makes less than no sense. Because, come on, huh? How does that work? So, anyway, enough of me speaking. I'm only the host, technically. To you guys, what are your thoughts on this issue?
It's disgraceful. It's disgraceful, really, because at the end of the day, we're all here for the same reason, for the love of this particular show. And if they're going to come along and say to someone like, "Oh, you can't do it this way anymore," then what does the fandom exactly become? How can the fans say we're fans of Star Trek if you can't show anything that's related to Star Trek?
Exactly. That's the issue that most of us have.
Yeah, I mean, Star Trek wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for three people. Gene Roddenberry, obviously, who created it, and I think it was BJO and John Trimble who started the letter writing campaign that got Star Trek the motion picture made, because they weren't going to do anything else with Star Trek. That got Star Trek the motion picture made, which then everyone's like, wow, this is actually really, really good, which got Star Trek 2 made, Star Trek 3, and then eventually Next Generation, and it's just snowballed from there. They were fans that just were saying to Paramount, we love this so much, please make more of it, because it's brilliant. To do this to the fans, I mean, it's not as if we're taking anything away from it. We're given to Star Trek the whole world. We're promoting it in a positive light. We're actively getting people involved in the games and stuff like that they put out there, which I presume they get revenue from. We all get around to watch it and stuff like that. So to then throw a limit on what we can use in Star Trek in our own basic, I mean, you could argue whether it's private or public, but I would say in their own private way, because we're just a fan group that likes everything to do with Star Trek. I mean, we're not out here to take money away from Paramount by making T-shirts or promotional materials or even fan films and for what SFI are doing. There's nothing of that involved as far as I'm aware. So it's not as if we're trying to take anything away. We're trying to give back to the entire Star Trek community, and the way that they are acting is just, it's pretty disgraceful in my opinion.
One of our other commanders talking about taking away from Paramount with their uniforms and clothing and stuff, I was talking to one of our other command crew over the weekend, I think. Recently, I was talking to her and she was saying that if it's such an issue with them being worried about money or copyrights or trademark and stuff like that, use SFI to sell Star Trek branded clothing, uniforms, comm badges, you name it. People will buy it, and you'll have a bigger market. And be smart about it. Don't be stupid. But I get where she was coming from.
Look, a big enough fan base. That's the whole thing. I mean, SFI, and obviously anyone who has the names behind those kinds of things, but SFI has a huge following, and there's a lot of people in SFI, and all we do is we just enjoy it for the love of Star Trek. Anyone who knows someone from SFI knows that we do it because we love Star Trek. There's no other reason. I mean, I don't want to take from Paramount. I want them to make a decent Star Trek at some point in their future. Maybe. I don't know. I hope. But I like.
Why are you shaking your head?
Because no matter what because no matter how much David tries, I will never like any of the new Star Treks, and he really wants me to like the new Star Treks, but I just can't.
You know what? Do you know something that I think you would actually like that that is new Star Trek, but sort of isn't, is the one thing Paramount done their best to shut down, which is the Axanar project.
Oh yeah, but you see, that's not Paramount.
Yeah, exactly. They try to shut it down.
Paramount gets a hold of it and they freaking destroy
it. Was so good. Well, yeah. I mean, there was Prelude to Axanar, and then there was going to be the film follow-up. Now, after the court case, it's down to 2 episodes to finish the whole Axanar series, which they've just finished filming, I think. So, I mean, I'm glad they got that far, but I don't think it's, although that Paramount in recent years have been quite litigious about stuff like that, I don't think it's a coincidence that this happens when the merger with Skydance comes along. That this all starts coming more into the forefront. Them being, I mean, they're production, but they're production finance company. And whenever you put a finance company in charge of anything, then they'll start cracking down and all this sort of stuff.
Exactly. I'm actually not shocked either. I agree with you in that aspect. You know, the minute you bring in a company like that, the first thing they're going to do is, hey, let's see who we can actually take money from. Let's see who we can sue, and see if they'll actually, like, you know, which balloons can we poke that'll actually pop and give us money. Is basically what they're trying to do, and that's what they're doing. It's bloody irritating.
You could argue in quite a few ways that it's the current fans that when you go to conventions or something like that, who in a way kind of get new fans to be interested in the show, because some people might come along, they might say, oh yes, I've heard about it, or I've seen clips of it, but I've never bothered to really watch it. And then you might introduce them, they'll go away, they might watch it, and then all of a sudden you've got a new fan of the show.
Exactly. And that's the big thing, though. Is what we do is we're if anything, we're doing our best to promote Star Trek. Much as I dislike the new Star Treks, I encourage people to watch Star Trek, regardless of what it is. You never know which Star Trek they may enjoy. They might enjoy Discovery. I despise it. They might not. You know, they might enjoy Lower Decks. You know, I don't see the point of it, but you know, again, they might enjoy it. They might enjoy Strange New Worlds. I'm. You can call me litigious to it.
Let's face it, you know you like it, you just don't want to admit it.
Because I watched an episode and I don't like how the underlings treat the captain. I think that they're actually turds, and they don't know their place, and they should learn their place. That if you're a lieutenant, don't talk down to the captain as if he's your inferior. He's your superior officer. Treat him as such, and if not, get the fuck off the ship. Anyway, so that's one of my gripes with that show. I don't like the way they treat the captain. I think that they are very you know, anti the captain, and that pisses me off. So, but still, even there, you know, all of those shows that I don't like, you know, the movies that I don't like. I mean, there are a couple of Star Trek movies that are real stinkers, that I don't get why they even made them. But even those, people are fans of those kinds of shows. And they become fans, not necessarily because of us, but we do help bring that kind of advertising to these shows and these movies. So if you get rid of us, you're getting rid of your advertising, basically. If you sue us, you're suing your advertising, you know, and then we're just not going to do it for you anymore, and then basically you can go and F yourself.
Yeah,
I think,
for me, Star Trek's like, and bear with me while I put this analogy, Star Trek's like sex. bad Star Trek is still Star Trek.
Yeah. It's a crappy way of looking at it, but yes.
You could have used pizza.
Oh yeah, I should have used
You
pizza.
should have used
Pizza is
pizza.
Yeah.
better.
Yeah. But did you want to re-record that bit then?
That's the first time I've
Yeah, I
ever
don't
heard
think-
Star Trek compared to sex.
It's called the Riker. It's
That
called,
is being clipped and it's going everywhere now.
it's called the Riker maneuver.
How many Riker maneuvers are there? Holy crap!
There are 2 points I wanted to make here. The first one back.
Here comes David is about to blast.
The first one going back to Hugh's comments on those responsible for getting Star Trek started. One of the people that actually predates the motion picture, actually predates the launch of the original series, because as we all know, the pilot failed horribly, was Lucille Ball. She's the one who fronted the money in order to recast and reshoot a pilot. So we do need to give her credit in that regard. Moving on, XO brought up, and so did my pagan brethren over there, the fans. Speaking for myself, I follow Star Trek on multiple social media, and if it wasn't for the ad for the Omnus popping up, I would have never known any of this existed. And just the concept of it being part of a crew that is entrenched and follows, the guidelines of Starfleet and the Federation, to me is a wonderful idea. So in that regard, it was like this opened up my eyes to a whole bunch of new things. I made some great friends. I get to do whole different new activities. And with the separation that Paramount is wanting from SFI, I have to agree with RXO that it is doing nothing but harm to them. They're losing the free advertisement. They're losing a possible new fan base. Whether you like the shows or not, the chances are people aren't going to be introduced to this. Not everybody has a streaming service to where they can watch this. Some people are still going off of basic television to where they don't get any of these episodes to experience anything like Star Trek. So yeah, I have to agree. A complete shot in the foot Paramount is taking in their approach.
Precisely.
It goes from one extreme to the other, because again, when you said about the motion picture, obviously at the time that was originally going to be another Star Trek series originally, but then after the success of Star Wars, they said, well, we're not making it into a series now, we're just going to turn it straight into a film, because wasn't it going to be called Phase 2 originally?
Phase 2, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I remembered as well.
Because they got as far as I've seen pictures and videos. They got as far as building sets and stuff like that. And then obviously when the success of Star Wars came out, it's like, right, scrap it all, do it as a big budget film instead now.
How sad is that news? I have to say it. I have to put it out there. I know it's Star Wars, but still very sad.
And everyone who's nodding knows exactly what we're talking about. So, unfortunately, we lost a legend last night.
No.
2 days ago. A couple of days ago, yeah.
Dear old James Earl Jones.
James Earl Jones, thank you. I forgot his name for a second there. Darth, the voice of Darth Vader, the voice of Mufasa. An iconic actor in his own right. It's very sad to have seen that we lost him. And yes, I'm not the biggest new Star Wars fan. Or does everyone call that Disney? There we go, James Earl Jones, yeah. Major respect to that man, major respect. But do we call it Disney Star Wars? I'm not a fan of. I don't like the new Star Wars.
Disney Star Wars sucks. I said it.
Yeah, there we go. I'm not the only one who thinks that Disney Star Wars sucks. But yeah, he was the icon. He was Darth Vader. He was I mean, you know, when you heard that voice, and whenever you heard him acting everywhere else, you're like, Darth Vader's in the room. You could be watching a completely different movie, and all you can think about is, where's Darth Vader?
He would
He
have been a
would,
great Klingon.
he would have made an excellent Klingon, an
I
absolutely
actually could
excellent.
And
imagine.
on that
I could actually imagine him as Worf's father.
That would have been awesome. Wolf's father. That would have been freaking awesome.
And on that note, why don't we learn more about the Scottish Klingon Garrison?
and the other Klingon garrison, or the ship. Are you a garrison or a ship, Pagan?
Oh,
Well, yeah, it's fascinating listening to, first of all, the copyright situation with Paramount you've been talking about in SFI, which doesn't affect us, thankfully. As you can see on the hat there, the logo, first of all, for the Scottish Klingon Garrison is simply an SKG with the name through it. And also, when the logo was designed for what is the fleet, which James is obviously part of as well in England, the fleet was named the Cromlech Isles, which means standing stones in Welsh. And the idea was that there are standing stones all throughout the UK and Ireland, Stonehenge obviously being the most well-known set. And there was something we felt a bit Klingon about it. I don't know, it was a kind of wilderness element, and you could put a bat left below it, and that became our logo. Completely copyright free, I think. We certainly haven't copyrighted it, so we're fortunate with that. But to go back to the foundation of it, it's really 2021 in the summer of, as I say, we were still having COVID restrictions, certainly. And basically, I came across a group which is based in America, of course, which is called the Klingon Assault Group, CAG. And I got into conversation with 2 or 3 people there, and they said, well, what about sort of setting something up in Scotland for Klingons? And I thought, yeah, that sounds good. When we look at Scotland as an example, there are now, of course, 3 SFI groups in Scotland, as you know, of course, across in Edinburgh with the Alba, yourselves in Ayrshire. And you also have the Bibray ship, which is up there, I think, based in Paisley. So you've got 3 SFI, you have the Valiant group in Glasgow, and you have the Tesla group also in Edinburgh. But all Starfleet orientated, all Starfleet based, which of course is fair enough. But I thought, well, it'd be good to do something a bit different from that. So why not Klingons? And unless I go dressing up as Klingons, so I duly did. And I always remember our first meeting, which was online at the time, and 4 of us turned up, which I thought was fantastic. And I never really saw it as growing all that much, to be honest. Maybe I thought if we get to 5 or 6 people who meet online now and again, I'll be quite happy. But as time went on, I discovered there was another Klingon group based in Liverpool, under the command of our overall fleet CEO, Naomi, and she'd been doing this for a few years. And obviously I got in touch with her. And really from there, we formed a fleet of the group in Scotland and then Liverpool. And from that early formation, James, who's done absolutely fantastic work for us, and I'll let him talk about that in a second, but he put the I.S.S. Praxis together in the south of England. We also expanded into Ireland through meeting some Irish fans, really at Destination Star Trek in London, and they loved the sound of the Klingon idea, so they got on board. And really, once we were able to meet face to face again in Scotland, we became pretty active. And something I do want to hand over to James. So I've been talking a lot there, but something I thought was really important from early on was to travel to where people are. And so despite being based in Edinburgh myself, I thought, we've got people across in Ayrshire and in Glasgow and in Aberdeen and in Stirling and other parts of Scotland who are keen to, be in the crew. And I thought, I'm going to go there and meet these people. I want it to be more than just an online, a sort of chat now and again on Facebook, important although that is as well. And I do want to stress that, people that participate in that way are very much part of the group. But I thought it's really important to get there, to meet people face to face, and to build it up from there and really make them feel part of it. And so we've done that, I think, quite well over the last 2 or 3 years. And we try and hold events, therefore, meals out, or going to the cinema, or going to various conventions. And we kind of rotate it between Glasgow and Edinburgh. And also, of course, as you know, we get through to Ayrshire as well. And of course, we've met up with your good selves in the Omnus a couple of times in recent months, which has been fantastic. And that's the final thing I'll say before handing it to James, is I also thought another thing was, which was important for us, was to try and work with other Star Trek fan groups where we could. Appreciate that's not always easy at times as well. But where we can, we kind of try and say we have an open table policy if we're having a meal out or an event, and we say, everybody else is absolutely welcome to join us. And I think it's because we were kind of set up to be independent, and because we don't have the overarching SFI sort of structure, so we don't have to follow the same maybe regulations when it comes to that, which has worked for us. Again, I'm not knocking that, but I think it's been important to get alongside other people as well. James.
Thanks, Robert. Well, like Robert said, I started the Praxis about a year or so ago now, just before Christmas, because I'm part of another group which is near to me here in Northampton called the I.S.S. Nesby, and they're an all starfleet group. I actually don't know off by heart if they're international or not, but joined them, and they were one of the few groups around here that I was able to join. No other groups around at the time, and I thought, well, why don't I try and start one up for myself? So I started up my own as a Klingon. I also went onto the Klingon Assault Force website to try and find another local group, found a Cromwell and joined from there. I've been to one or two conventions with Naomi as well. Actually going to the Lincoln Con actually in the second or third week of October. And a friend of hers actually very kindly also made the logo for the Praxis, which is probably can't see it, is I've added. The only thing I've added to that is the ships, because I got the idea for Praxis playing Star Trek Online, because I named my Klingon ships the Praxis.
After Deus Ex by any chance?
Sorry?
After those items from Deus Ex?
Don't think so.
I'm kidding, dude. I am kidding. If you know Deus Ex the game, then you know what I'm talking about.
Sorry, I didn't know what you said. But I literally got my own first Klingon costume, which is just an original series costume, and because I do stuff with my TikTok, I wanted to try and do how can I make props on the cheap without having to spend shed loads of money all the time, because I always work on a budget. So I worked out how to make myself a batleth, which was just printing the picture off the computer, tracing it onto a little bit of cardboard, and I think in the end, making a batleth probably cost me under £10, which was ideal. And then after that, it just kind of stuck, me trying to make props from home on the cheap. Same with costumes as well. My original series Klingon is just basically some gold jogging bottoms, a black long sleeve shirt, a gold vest, all together. cost me about £25 to get the clothing.
So in other words, we need to come to you for tips and tricks.
In essence.
I'm not going to say I'm 100% expert, but it's always good to hear hints and tips from people about how they make their props or how they do their costumes.
Yeah, it works.
Exactly, because again, I wanted to do a Mako costume from Enterprise because I've seen everyone do the jumpsuits from that, and I'm thinking, well, I've never seen anyone do anything else from Enterprise when I've gone to conventions. I've never seen anyone do Makos or anything like that. So I thought, well, I'll do a Mako one. Just bought myself a grey jacket, some grey trousers, and I spent nearly 3 or 4 nights in the kitchen using some brown clothing dye just to paint over parts of the clothing to try and get it that camouflage style colour. And then along with a Mako rifle, which I just made myself, again, just out of plain cardboard.
Nice. That is quite awesome. That is actually very awesome. I'm not even going to try and deny it. That is really awesome. I do need to add in one thing. It's not Starfleet that is restricting us. Sorry, it's not Starfleet International that's restricting us. It is Paramount. And from what the management, from what the Admiralty has told us, it's what was it? A chapter by chapter basis. So Paramount tends to just go after whoever they see as a viable target. And I think that was where the issue came up, why we were so pissed off about it, because you know, all anyone was doing in SFI was just trying to actually make a good fan club. But back to you, James. I'm sorry about that. I had to just add that in. Just a disclaimer: it's not SFI. They've done nothing wrong. I love SFI. They're awesome. They've actually kept, and I'm not doing this because there's a gun to my head. I promise. I'm not doing it because there's a gun to my head. I promise. No, I'm actually joking. They've actually been awesome. And the admiral up here is he's really a great admiral. The one that we had in South Africa, his name was Owen. His name is Owen. He was also an awesome admiral. But we're going way off topic. I'm sorry, James.
No, that's
Carry
fine. That's fine because literally, it's one thing I wanted to do when I did the Praxis was to get like Robert's doing, get together with everyone, meet up with people who are fans, and just like mainly doing it to meet people and make more friends with.
Yeah.
Admittedly, like the club had a little bit of a bumpy start to start. Well, they had a little bit of a bumpy start with because around about the start of this year, one of my friends who actually talked me into actually starting the ship unfortunately passed away at the start of this year. So, in a way, I think I could sort of dedicate the ship to him because without him saying to me, "Oh yeah, you know what, go and do it, go and do it if you think you can do it," I don't think I would have actually done it.
Well, okay, it's empty, but here's one for your friend. Yeah, if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have you on board online with us right now. So sorry, but the glass is empty, so I'll get the last little drops out. Hang on. There we go. Yes,
like me,
great,
he was
great honor.
Like me, he was an avid Star Trek fan. I'd go around to his house and he'd have collections around his bedroom. Just about everything. We'd be sitting watching the theatre shows, everything when we went around his house after school.
Thought I'd show something off to you here. This is what the Omnus is supposed to look like, by the way. This is the USS Equinox. The Omnus is black though, and it can hit a higher warp speed than the Equinox can. I think it gets to warp 11.5.
The only thing I have has to fly past the screen and go.
Yeah, she's got the original Enterprise. We found a Hot Wheels of the original Enterprise, and we had to buy it. So, I mean, you know.
That's an interesting topic. Do any of you have any random Star Trek collectibles?
I've got some. I've got 3 models by Blue Bricks. They're like a German company, Lego-like company that's made.
Oh, we know.
Yeah, so I've got a phaser rifle, disruptor rifle, and a Daktag.
I am Locutus of Borg. There's a random collectible for you.
What did David have? I saw that nodding.
I've got the one company communicator and phaser sitting on my windowsill. I've got 3 of the Diamond Select ships. I've got the Enterprise from the Cage, the Reefer Enterprise, and the Bird of Prey actually on my shelf as well. So I've got a few of those, and I've got a couple more in the shed.
So I am unfortunately outside, so I can't go and show everything. But yeah, I have quite a vast collection. I have the Locutus of Borg, but then I have the other figures in that series, including the Worf, who is in the box is mislabeled as Next Generation because it's his DS9 uniform, because he has the Commander Pips and he's wearing red and the ponytail. So the box is mislabeled.
That's got to be worth a pretty penny.
Yeah, let's see. I've got my little Galron figure because
everyone has to have Galron.
Let's see. I've got the Deerdux class Warbird model. I've got Constitution class model. I got a Sovereign class, which is the best Enterprise there is.
Oh yeah, I agree.
I've got all sorts to the point of and my wife buys most of these for me, which she has no problem because she is a huge Star Trek fan as well. And they just make great Father's Day, birthday, and Yule presents. So
I do, yeah, 100%. I'll be right back.
For just.
I'm just looking for that one model that's going to be like the pride of the collection at the moment. I will admit.
Next, surely the Playmobil Bird of Prey, which
that and the Enterprise, I think would definitely be.
And I do have a Enterprise D decanter set, the crystal decanter set. But my favorite thing is my Klingon Defense Force Streaking Team Stein.
Nice.
Yeah, I just
talking their language.
Yeah, see, I just fill that thing up with meat and go to town. Not prune juice. I don't care what Worf says. It is not a warrior's drink.
No.
As I said to Robert once before, all merry Klingons until in Worf's case you go and break someone's banjo.
I am not.
Well, we're slowly but surely converting Hugh's daughter to be a Star Trek fan, because she and obviously only if you're comfortable with it, but I think it's a cute analogy that she said to you over the weekend about her and her partner. You can tell us the story of what she.
It's so sweet.
I can't remember. What did she say?
She said that her and I'm not gonna say their names, but I'm gonna say that they compared themselves with Worf and Jadzia.
Oh right, yeah. Yeah, our boyfriend's a Star Trek fan as well, so try to get sort of, she sees me watching it and doing Omnus stuff, and he watches it, and we talk about it, so she's been getting to know more and more about it, and she's done a few design stuff for us as well, for the ship, and which has been excellent. But yeah, she we were talking about stuff, and she'd seen a clip of Jadzia and Worf getting married, and them getting into a big argument and having a fight, and she was like, "Ooh, that's me and you." Their boyfriend.
There's a future cosplay idea for them then.
You most definitely, yes. Well, she did say she would love to get a tattoo of the trill marks. And I must admit that is pretty cool. Must admit they are also.
I'm building my stuff.
So, Robert and that did you guys deliberately pick something Klingon to do because Klingon was something that resonated with you without a Star Trek, or was it just because you felt there was nothing Klingon about, or not as much, and you'd rather do that?
I think both, all of the above, really. I can, thinking back to the mid 1990s, maybe you would go to conventions at that time, in Scotland and in England and elsewhere, and you would see quite a few Klingons around, and it was at the peak of popularity, I suppose, because of DS9 and TNG being on TV at the time. But yeah, there's been a bit of a gap in thinking about conventions now, where you would see some Star Trek fans. I mean, to be honest, and I could talk about conventions all night, but if you look at them now, I would say the majority of people are going in cosplay as anime, firstly, or Star Wars of some kind. And you'll see some Star Trek fans around, but it's always a Starfleet uniform. And I thought from that, wouldn't it be good to get a TNG DS9 Klingon outfit? It's just something a bit different from that point of view, and go to conventions and that. But also, as you said, the Klingons had always been by far my favourite alien species in Star Trek, by quite a long way. I do like the Andorians as well, to be fair, but aside from them, Andorians are fantastic. But aside from that, there was something that did resonate about the Klingons. Just the whole. I think there's a variety of Klingons that we see. I know they're seen as obviously a bit mad and this kind of warrior class, but I think, and probably why DS9 is my favourite show, is that there was a real development of the Klingons as characters throughout DS9, and obviously we see a lot of character development with Worf, but also Gowron and Martok, I think really change in different ways. So it's not just a stereotypical Klingon. You get the Duras sisters, who are just brilliant, as well, of course. But yeah. So favourite alien,
Well,
definitely.
brilliant to an extent. I mean, they really pissed me off when they destroyed the Enterprise D. And do not say the Enterprise D came back, David. I don't care what you say. The Enterprise D did not come back. It was destroyed. No one will ever change my mind.
Well, it's a good thing it was destroyed, because therefore we got the E.
Exactly. The best Enterprise ever. Well, it was you. You were trying to convince me that the D was awesome because it came back in Picard. I don't care. It was destroyed.
I think that was Craig.
Maybe it was Craig.
But no, I loved it. I loved it coming back in Picard as well. I thought it was awesome.
Freaking stupid. They shouldn't have brought the ship back.
Fantastic. Absolutely brilliant.
You know what? There's an Enterprise G already. They could have just carried on the Enterprise G and let Picard get the E back. That would have made more sense.
Yeah. But
With
you know,
Enterprise-
if you listen to that episode, particularly of Picard, if you turn the volume up, as soon as
You hear me screaming.
the ship does its first flyby, you can hear it say, and somebody standing at the window doing that.
Yeah, particularly for me.
Well, I'd like to point out there, Exo, that there was no G at that point in time. It was actually the Titan, or that
Yeah,
got
it was the
renamed
Titan.
the G. The F was destroyed but if you had watched the episode, you'd actually know this.
Wait, the F was destroyed. Wasn't the F destroyed in Star Trek Online though?
No, it was destroyed in Picard,
Oh, well, then why would I care?
which then gave way to be able to rename the Titan G. If you'd watched the episode, get with the
Yeah,
canon.
but you see, why would I care? Because in my opinion, Picard was. You know what? I thought Discovery was bad, and then Picard came out. You know that's how bad it was for me.
The problem
it was
is
insulting.
The problem is they're missing Klingons. That's the issue.
Well,
You
that's
can't call
always
what
a
they had in
problem.
their Klingons.
I had mentioned to Robert once before the reason why I like Klingons so much is when you watch the original series, when you see Kirk interacting with like Kang or Koloff, he's always a bit friendly to them, a bit chummy. And I again said to Robert, I would love them at some point, perhaps in Strange New Worlds or something, getting a younger version of Kirk, meeting them to know how he knows them so much. Because
Yeah.
considering it's the first time you meet them in the original series, he already knows their names, he already knows them, so he's obviously met them before. It'd be interesting to know how they met before. Perhaps I don't know, perhaps he walked into one of them at the bar, spilt his blood wine, and is like, I'm gonna remember you.
Is it Koloth that I was recent because I've been rewatching Star Trek: The Original Series last couple of weeks, and it's I think it's Koloth. Is it the same? He was in the original series, but I was watching it and realised that's the same actor as well.
Yeah, because he played Trelane as well, didn't he, in the original series as well, and then he came back as Koloth in DS9 along with Kang and Kor.
Yeah, I was gonna say Kor. All three were the original actors.
Yeah, all right. That's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, so I've been watching TNG. Just so everyone knows, I'm almost finished with TNG, and I got to the episode. I finished the episode. I remember it now. Thanks for reminding me, Hugh. By the way, I remember the episode of the dude that killed himself in the warp cell. Yeah, I remember that. I remembered it, and then I watched it. I was like, oh, okay, I remember it properly now. But over and above that, I just watched the episode where Worf's son comes back in time and actually tries to kill himself because he wasn't a warrior enough to fight and protect his dad when he was killed. And what really got me on that episode was how honor seems to have transcended right the way through. It was all about how Alexander's honor wasn't. He felt he didn't have any honor because he allowed his father to die, because he was not willing to actually train as a Klingon warrior. And then obviously Worf growing up as a father to Alexander, realizing Alexander needs to actually choose his own path. And it was a real growing experience for both of them. And for me, that was like, to see Worf actually come into his own as a character. It sucks that it was at the end of the series. But thankfully, obviously, he had DS9 to go to as well. But in TNG, he really did come into his own as like a fully rounded character. A father, a warrior, and a friend, as well as a starship officer or Starfleet officer. The fact that he could do all of that only towards the end of TNG really sucked. But I'm glad that they did that, because it gave him a whole new role in DS9, which I'm going to be going on to shortly. So as soon as I finish this season, I am done with TNG, and then I'm moving on to DS9. So, yeah, just thought I'd chuck that out there for the Klingons, since this episode is actually all about Klingons. Whoop.
Who's your favorite Klingon?
Oh, Gowron.
Oh, Whoop.
Oh,
Yeah,
Martok. So, yeah.
Gowron.
Well,
It's
I like Gowron, but I like Worf
for
more.
our Klingon brethren. Do you think that Gowron's character, Gowron himself is, do you think he was always out for himself, or did he change into that, and he originally did want glory for the Empire? But by the end it was obviously turned into it was all just about him. But when he had his final battle with Worf,
I think that's a fantastic question. I think he was ruined by success and ambition. I think you're right. It was about the Empire first of all as his priority, but once he got that taste of power, then it sort of turned him. It's like a sort of Star Wars element there, perhaps. Yeah, I think it turned to make it about him. Yeah, I think ultimately, but yeah, his intentions were more noble and honourable before that. I agree. Robert O'Reilly, who is our honorary president of the fleet as well, at the Destination Trek in Blackpool in July. So that was brilliant. And he was telling me about his exercise regime at the moment. Just keeps him fit. Said you're looking fantastic for your age, basically. And he said, I arrived early for the convention so I could go hiking and doing loads of long walks in the Lake District before I got here. Okay.
Awesome.
But, yeah. James. Sorry.
It-
Did
it-
Baron was he always selfish?
I kind of agree with Robbie. So before he becomes Chancellor, you can see he's got his best interest. He wants to keep the Empire together. He doesn't want anything to ruin it. But as soon as he gets power, it's true what they say: power corrupts, and you can see it slowly corrupts. And hence, in the second half of Redemption, when he's got challenged for the seat, you can see that look in his eyes is like, you know what, I'm not giving this up now.
Here's a better question. Oh, sorry, carry on.
But
What you got?
again, one thing I said to Rob was that I can do a good Gowron impression. You just know-
Anyone can make their eyes wide like Gowron?
No, nobody.
No.
Yeah, you have to do the wide-eyed and go.
So, another question: do you think that the Duras sisters had good intentions?
No, that is a very short answer. Though the Duras sisters, I think, were more than corrupted by power and ambition from the very off. I think that was in their nature, but that was a positive because it gave you that other side to Klingon. I think, as I said, Klingons were maybe started off as a bit one-dimensional, but by the time you really delve into DS9 in particular, you see these different characters. But the Duras sisters are quite heartwarming in that way, that they are warriors to the core, and yeah, I think it's about naked ambition in their case for power.
But isn't it a Klingon's duty to have ambition to power, though?
Well, yeah. Well, I'd say Empire first, perhaps. Well, your house obviously comes first. But say
I think they
house,
must be a bit of a
Empire,
handful.
So then, ipso facto, their intentions should have been, or would have been, good in sense, because they were actually for the Empire, but for their house first.
It's about the advancement of House Duras. So yeah, in that sense, they were true to the sort of overall Klingon nature. But yeah, yes, corrupted eventually by overreach and over ambition.
Yeah.
It's from what you see. You've got the one sister who's like, you know, yes, we have to plan, we have to think about this, do this, and the other one who's always like going, I want to get you, we're going to be all touchy.
Screw you! I'm going to do it my way and no one else's. That's why the Enterprise team was destroyed.
Was it Bator who was always the one who kept wanting to try and snog Worf, and then in Generations you wanted to try and go for Soren as well. So it's like, love, you've got some
cool your jets there.
Klingon sex issues there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This as well after her son was born.
Yeah, we have a couple of our crew who are based in Ireland as well. Do a brilliant cosplay which they call the Duras Sisters, because it's a combination. I'm probably saying that wrong, but it's a combination of the Sith and the Duras Sisters. So they have the whole Duras outfit, but they have lightsabers, and
That's cool.
Yeah, sort of tiny Yoda that they take along as well.
That's really cool.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Well, here's another one. Do you think Kahless was underused, or do you think it was right that they realised, oh, wait a minute, we made a mistake by bringing him back?
I think he was underused in the sense that you would have seen more of the background and the story of Klingon religion.
Yeah, I agree.
We do get to see very strongly for the Bajorans in DS9, which is the most explicitly religious section of all of Star Trek, I think. But I think it would just have added to the whole sort of Klingon mythos if they'd done more with the early years Kahless, perhaps. I know it's been fleshed out a wee bit in some of the novels and some of the comics as well. with Kalis and the origins of that and how he came to power. But yeah, I would have liked to see a bit more of that. And I know, Worf always had his own personal shrine in his quarters as well. But yeah, it was underplayed.
Yeah, but also Kalis was brought back and was what you would call an honorary emperor.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. I'm sure you all know the episodes that I'm talking about, where it was those 2-part episodes where Worf actually found that he was actually a clone, and that they just cloned him with all Kalis's memories. That could have been so if they'd actually carried on with the story behind him as well, like a proper story behind him, that would have made it like just that much better as well, because you get a whole new history and a whole new side of the Klingons, which would have been really awesome. I would have loved to have seen that.
They could have even brought him back for like a small appearance in DS9 as well, especially around the time when they're supposed to be going to war with Cardassia, because even as Worf says he tried to speak to him, even if it was just like a cameo bit of him on a computer screen, just talking to him, even just that would have been good, because like I said, they haven't used him enough, and he hasn't been brought in enough.
And he's a big part of Klingon history as well, though. That's the whole thing.
Well, in saying that about Klingon religion not being fleshed out so much, I thought one of the best Klingon episodes, and feel free to absolutely shoot this down, was the Barge of the Dead in Voyager, where you saw them going to, because obviously we know about Sto-vo-kor and everybody wants to go there, but those who were without honour being taken to the opposite of Sto-vo-kor. And obviously B'Elanna ended up in the ship and had to rescue her mother from that. And I thought that was an absolutely brilliant episode. And again, just saw a different element to the Klingon character.
Yeah, that's the CO's definitely. She's watching Voyager at the moment.
She's my favorite Klingon. I know she's not a full Klingon, but she's my favorite. I love B'Elanna Torres.
There you go.
Exploring the whole her being half Klingon, but half of her not wanting to be, and not being bullied and stuff like that, growing up because of it, and all that was really. I like that story arc every time they explored that on Voyager. It was really good.
Yeah.
It's right here.
I mean,
what's David saying?
Like so many people, I hated the design of the Klingons when they first brought them into Discovery. I thought, what the hell are you even doing?
That's not Klingon.
Let's make all Klingons bald, because they never had hair a couple of years before Kirk met them. They never had hair.
They weren't weird looking.
They weren't.
Like, Klingons are weird looking, yes, but not like that.
You know what? When someone says a Klingon is weird looking and they've seen Klingons before, there's a problem.
Original series, you can do it as two ways. You can say, okay, they look human because from a real world production point of view, they don't have the money to do all the makeup.
Yeah, but that's bullshit on that part right there. They had more than enough money to be able to actually create characters that looked like Klingons. We all know that they just didn't want to make the Klingons look good. They were just too lazy. It was bad writing, in my opinion. It was just bad writing. But yeah, carry on. Sorry. I fucking hate Discovery. Okay, I despise Discovery.
I wasn't the biggest fan of Discovery either. But when I watched Enterprise for the first time. Again, I didn't like Enterprise for the first time when I first watched it, but then over the years I've re-watched some episodes and I'm thinking a lot of it makes more sense now when you especially look at some more stuff today, like again in Enterprise when they show you how Klingons lost their ridges and stuff like that. But technically you could say, well, in the original series, you only see the ones who were affected by that virus had ridges removed. So technically, could you not say that there are Klingons with and without ridges now?
Mm-hmm.
So it's. I got asked when I went to one of my conventions in my original Klingon costume with a back lift. Said, "Oh, you never saw original Klingons with a back lift?" You may not have seen them with the bat'leth, but they would have had them on board their ships.
Every single time. Because the bat'leth is a traditional fighting sword that every Klingon has to know how to fight with. And
I mean, and the show goes back at least as far as the original Kalis. So.
yeah, and if you consider the fact that original Klingons didn't have bat'leths, yeah, okay. Explain the whole story of Kalis. Explain all of him and how he actually fought with a bat'leth. You know, and I think he was the one who actually called it bat'leth for the first time. Yeah, okay. Let's take away all of Star Trek's lore before that. Yeah, but the original series never had it. Yes, but but Gene Roddenberry himself actually brought in how the bat'leth was created through TNG.
What's David think?
There's quite a few bits of trailer I think a little bit mixed up, like when the Abrams films came out. Okay, yeah, the first one in 2009 I really liked, and I thought, okay, you're doing a
Me too.
parallel universe for the original crew. Okay, it's a good way. But then when they went on, I thought, well, they're not getting better; they're getting worse. They made them too much an action film rather than a Star Trek film.
The last one was so terrible. What does David think of all of this? Yeah, no, I didn't hear anything you
All
said
of
there,
it.
huh?
Which part?
Every part.
Every part. Well, I mean, we do know that the Klingons experimented with introducing human DNA to infiltrate the Federation and gain knowledge. So that is at least one way you can explain the loss of ridges in the Klingons from Discovery through TOS to TNG. That's one way. But going back to the whole thing about the bat'leth, yes, we had Kalis. Everything is around. You know, the bat'leth of Kalis is it's synonymous with the name. I mean, if you look at the Klingon, lore, everybody had a bat'leth. You were given one while you were in your, in the Targ, crib or whatever. So, kind of trying to dismiss the bat'leth, even though it wasn't predominantly used in TOS, if at all, if I recall correctly, doesn't mean it wasn't in existence. Back to the first thing, favorite Klingon, B'Elanna Torres, even though, yes, I know she's not full Klingon, but I think she embodied what it meant to be Klingon because she was very honorable, particularly in her duties. So, did I miss anything?
I think so.
Yeah,
that's also why I
mean,
like Worf, is because he was also honorable.
Yeah, Worf was very honorable, and I mean that was the whole thing about being Klingon is honor. Yes, house first, empire, but everything was done with honor.
Exactly.
if you were going to reach Stovacor, it was with honor.
Or not at all.
Yeah, I think that this might sound like a negative, but it's not. But I think with the way they took Worf's arc, especially in at DS9, it got really annoying with how honourable he wanted to be all the time and do the right thing, and you were like, "Oh, for fuck's sake, man, come on, just do it." But it totally fitted his character. It was absolutely brilliant. Don't get me wrong.
The wedding candles comes immediately to mind for that when he does here to make the wedding candles.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
is there a sort of phasers and laser pistols aside? Does anybody know of another weapon apart from the bat'leth that if you came up against in battle, you would go, "Oh no, actually no, never mind, that's alright."
have you seen the Klingon?
So,
have you seen the Klingon sword? Not the bat'leth, the other one.
Sword, but there's also like a set of daggers. They're probably about maybe 18 to 20 inches in length. And forgive me, I can't do the metric. Yeah. So whatever that is in metrics. But these things are brutal. I mean, They've got a blade. They got a blade out from the hand, and it curves underneath. So there's like a back blade where you can pommel strike somebody.
That is a very scary blade.
It's like everything's been designed that these people have swords that are straight, but what if you like go to swipe somebody and you just miss them? Oh, we'll add a wee spiky bit on then, just in case.
Yeah.
Because the only weapons it's the hand weapons we see them using, apart from disruptors, they've obviously got the batleth, then they've got their little Daktag dagger, and then like you say, the curved one, the Meklef, which is the smaller, which Worf always seems to have hidden under his shirt behind him.
Yeah, it's just there. Whenever he needs it, it's always there.
It's either on DS9 or even when he's got his spacesuit on, he seems to have it hidden behind his spacesuit, like
Nice.
First Contact.
Nice. But anyway, guys,
I'm getting attacked by Klingons. Where have you got time to go and find and hide your sword?
Exactly. That's the whole thing. Unfortunately, though, that is time. we are done for this podcast. To the crew of the Omnus, as always, guys, thank you so much for being here. Dave and Hugh, you guys are always here, so it's always appreciated that the two of you jump in whenever we have one. I know Kieran is here too, but he vanished. Kieran, I know you're watching this back, so thank you for joining for the time that you did. Appreciate that. And for the guys from the SKG and the Praxis, thank you guys so much for joining. Any last words from your side?
Many thanks for having us along again. I say we've thoroughly enjoyed meeting your group and getting together in Kilmarnock, which is also, as you know, my hometown. So it's very special, despite living in Edinburgh now. But I think what we've done together, getting together those couple of times, what we're doing tonight, is, as I said earlier on, just what we're all about. You're clearly all about as well, which is just like thinking, we're all Star Trek fans. Whether we've got more of a spin on the Klingons or whether we've got more of a spin in Starfleet, it doesn't really matter, because we can, just get together and hopefully have fun. And that absolutely is the priority at the end of the day. So it's just great to have this opportunity, and as I say, to be able to get together and long may it continue. And yeah, it's just also, it's great to have seen both groups growing, as well, the Omnus and the Cromlech Isles fleet over the last few months, last year or two, and where we're now up to 25, 30 regular people, not in Scotland itself, but across the whole of the UK and Ireland. And I know that the Omnus is adding numbers there, so it's great to see. So thank you again.
Yeah, thank you very, very much for letting come on. It's been a pleasure to meet more people who are also fans of the show, and nice to even just like try and meet more people at future events as well, to try and make more friends and get more going in the future as well. So it's been wonderful to be here.
Absolutely. And the guys from our ship, have you got anything to say?
I have something to say to the
Shut up, Wesley.
guys. Don't run away when the podcast is done. I want to run something past you.
Shut up.
The only thing I'd like to say is thank you for being here, and glory to you and your house.
You're welcome.
And
Kappa.
Supply indeed. So guys, yeah, that's it for the podcast today. It's been a wonderful time spending with all these guys and having a good time talking about Klingons and, well, Paramount being Paramount and all that great stuff. And I just have one last thing to say. I had to. Just because, anyone who knows the Cable Guy and knows Star Trek that's a really funny thing. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you on the next one.
I can't do it like David does, but I'll try. This is Omnus signing out.
Live long and prosper.